Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're counting down the top 9 bad condition most valuable Abraham Wheat 1 penny coins that could be worth huge money in today's auction market. Let's get started. First up, we explore the value of the 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny, minted at the Denver Mint, is a part of a series that was issued from 1909 to 1958. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin features a portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and 2 stalks of wheat on the reverse, symbolizing America's agricultural prosperity. The 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny marks a period of economic recovery following World War II. While the coin itself may seem unremarkable, it holds historical significance as part of post-war American currency. It also plays a key role in the larger story of U.S. coinage during the mid-20th century. The total mintage of the 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny was over 1.1 billion coins, making it one of the more common coins from the series. However, when you look at individual conditions, this particular penny has a special interest. The D-Mint mark indicates it was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the 3 primary facilities responsible for coin production in the U.S. at the time. This specific penny, however, has scratches and damage on both sides, which drastically affects its value. In the world of coin collecting, a coin's condition is paramount. Coins that are scratched, bent, or otherwise damaged lose their numismatic value, even if they were once minted in high quantities. In today's auction market, a 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny with a D-Mint mark in poor condition, with noticeable scratches and damage, typically fetches anywhere from $236,434, depending on the severity of the damage. Coins like this are primarily valued for their historical context rather than rarity or beauty. Although it isn't a high-value coin in this condition, collectors who seek out specific mint marks or damaged coins for their personal collections might still find value in it. The most significant factor that would influence the value of this coin would be an error such as a double die, off-center strike, or another minting flaw, but in this case, it seems to be simply a well-worn, scratched coin. Despite the damage, some collectors may still appreciate it as a piece of history. Next up, we explore the value of the much like its damaged counterpart. The 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny with a D-Mint mark is part of a larger set produced during the post-war years. The coin has the same design, featuring a portrait of President Abraham Lincoln by Victor David Brenner and 2 stalks of wheat on the reverse. The simple, elegant design remains one of the most iconic in U.S. coin history. The 1952 year represents a time when the U.S. economy was rapidly recovering after World War II. Inflation and shortages of materials had caused instability during the war years, but by the early 1950s, the country had stabilized. This coin, with its well-worn edges and surface, reflects the time period it was in circulation. As mentioned before, over 1.1 billion 1952 Lincoln Wheat pennies were minted, which means this coin is relatively common in circulated conditions. However, when examining coins in circulated condition as opposed to those in uncirculated condition, the value depends more on wear and tear rather than rarity. A circulated 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny with the D-Mint mark will not break any records in terms of price, but it still holds significant value for collectors looking to complete their sets of coins from the early 1950s. In today's auction market, a 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny in circulated condition is typically worth around $38,000. The value will vary slightly depending on the degree of wear, with better preserved examples fetching a bit more. Coins in circulated condition rarely carry errors that would significantly increase their value, but collectors still seek them out to complete their sets. This penny may not be the rarest, but it's part of a sought-after series, and there is a strong collector interest in acquiring even the more common versions of the 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny. Next up, we explore the value of the 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny. Like its 1952 counterpart, was issued during a time of post-war recovery. The large date variety of the 1950 penny is a distinguishing feature. The date size on the coin is noticeably larger than on other years in the series, which is a key point of interest for collectors. The design of this coin, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and wheat stalks on the reverse, is instantly recognizable. The 1950 penny was one of the first to be minted after the end of World War II and reflects the optimism of the early 1950s. The total mintage for the 1950 Lincoln wheat penny was around 300 million, making it far less common than its 1952 counterpart. This 1950 penny does not have a mint mark, meaning it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. The absence of the mint mark is a standard feature for coins minted at the Philadelphia Mint during this period. In fine condition with some scratches, this coin would be valued in today's market at around $28,000. The value depends on how well the coin has been preserved, even with some minor damage or scratches. A fine example with minimal scratches can fetch a higher price, especially for collectors interested in completing a set of coins from the early 1950s. There's a slight increase in interest in this coin because of the large date variety, though it's not considered an error coin. Coins from 1950 with the large date are more desirable than the small date variety, and collectors often seek them out to complete sets from that year. Next up, we explore the value of the 1946 Lincoln wheat penny is part of the post-WWII coinage and reflects the stabilization of the U.S. economy in the years following the war. This coin was struck at the San Francisco Mint, as indicated by the S Mint mark. This penny features the iconic Lincoln portrait on the obverse and the wheat stalks on the reverse. This design remained relatively unchanged from its debut in 1909 until the series ended in 1958, making it a classic symbol of American numismatics. The 1946 Lincoln penny was minted in significant numbers, with over 1 billion produced. The San Francisco Mint produced a substantial portion of this mintage. Although the coin is common, the S Mint mark version of the 1946 penny is more difficult to find than its Philadelphia counterpart, adding to its collector appeal. A 1946 Lincoln wheat penny in circulated condition with an S Mint mark is typically worth around $88,000. As with other pennies, the condition of the coin will affect its price. Coins with minimal wear or those showing less circulation can command slightly higher prices. While the 1946 penny isn't typically known for errors, collectors often seek the S Mint mark version to complete their sets of mint-marked coins from that era. The coin's value may also rise slightly if it has a desirable toning pattern or if there are any minting errors. Next up, we explore the value of the much like the 1946 penny. This coin is part of the post-war era of U.S. coinage. The large date variety is typical of pennies struck in the mid-1940s, and the absence of a mint mark indicates it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. This coin, however, is in poor condition, with noticeable dirt and discoloration, which can often detract from its aesthetic appeal. But despite the surface imperfections, it's still a part of U.S. history. The Philadelphia Mint produced a large quantity of the 1946 Lincoln wheat penny, with over 991 million coins struck. Without a mint mark, this version is common in circulation, and it's relatively easy to find. However, despite its high mintage, the value of any given 1946 penny is determined largely by its condition and any unique qualities. This coin, in particular, shows noticeable black discoloration and dirt, which impacts its value. Discoloration can result from various factors, including oxidation, exposure to different elements, or chemical reactions with other metals. While blackened or tarnished coins typically have lower value, some collectors may find them appealing due to their uniqueness or the story behind the wear. In today's auction market, a 1946 Lincoln wheat penny in heavily circulated and dirty condition, especially with discoloration, generally fetches a modest price. Expect values to range from $92,000 depending on the level of discoloration and wear. If the coin were in a more pristine condition, it could reach a value of around $96,000 in today's market, but significant dirt and discoloration place it on the lower end of the scale. Although this 1946 penny is in rough condition, collectors interested in historical coins may still appreciate it for its age and background. Coins from the 1940s remain popular, especially when they're part of the classic wheat penny series. Era varieties, such as double die or off-center strikes, could add value if found on a 1946 penny, though they are uncommon. In general, this coin appeals to those looking for a piece of history rather than a high-value collectible. Collectors might also be interested in cleaning and restoring coins like this, although cleaning can decrease a coin's value if done improperly. For this coin, maintaining its as-is condition may still be the best approach, as it preserves its authenticity and shows its journey through time. And there you have it. Each of these Lincoln wheat pennies tells its own story. From the scratched and damaged coins to those with mint marks, every piece has a unique history and value in the world of numismatics. Remember, while the condition of a coin affects its value, collectors often look beyond the surface to appreciate the history and significance each piece brings. Next up, we explore the value of the 1956 Lincoln wheat penny with an unusual green layer. Stick around as we go through each coin in detail. You might be surprised by how much even a single penny can be worth. Alright, next is up on our list is the 1956 Lincoln wheat penny. This particular coin has no mint mark, a large date, and something pretty unique, a green layer on both sides, likely from age and environmental exposure. Now, it's not just the unique color that makes it interesting, the story of this coin goes way back. In 1956, the US was in a period of rapid economic growth. The post-World War II era saw America transitioning into a prosperous nation, with suburbs expanding and technology advancing. Lincoln wheat pennies were widely used, and the design itself had already become an iconic part of American currency. The wheat penny, first introduced in 1909 to celebrate Lincoln's 100th birthday, was one of the earliest coins to feature a real person. Prior to Lincoln, most coins featured symbolic figures rather than actual people. The penny became a symbol of unity and progress, and in 1956, when this penny was minted, the country was embracing a period of optimism. Having a coin from this era is like holding a small piece of American history, capturing a time when people were hopeful for a bright future. The 1956 Lincoln wheat penny features Lincoln's portrait on the obverse side, designed by Victor David Brenner. The reverse side shows the famous wheat ears on either side, which frame the words 1 cent and United States of America. These wheat stalks were meant to represent abundance, an appropriate symbol for the economic boom of the 1950s. Now, one of the interesting things about this coin is that it has a large date. This just means that the numbers in 1956 are slightly larger and bolder than in some other penny designs. This can make the coin more desirable for certain collectors, especially those who specialize in date and design variations. Typically, a 1956 penny in circulated and dirty condition without mint mark might not be worth a lot, around $37,000, but this particular coin has a twist. The extra green layer on both sides, possibly caused by natural oxidation over time, adds a level of uniqueness. Some collectors are particularly interested in coins that have these unusual tones or patinas. While it won't fetch hundreds, the green layer can bump its value slightly, as it's an appealing feature for those who collect toned or natural condition coins. Collectors who seek out Lincoln wheat pennies might be drawn to this one specifically for its color. That green layer is relatively uncommon, and while it may have come from age or environmental exposure, it gives the coin a character of its own. For those interested in the natural aging process of copper coins, this 1956 penny is a gem. There's a certain charm to seeing how time has altered it, and the green patina can attract offers at auctions from anywhere between $49,500 depending on the buyer. Next up coin, we have the 1942 Lincoln wheat penny with a D mint mark, meaning it was minted in Denver. This coin holds historical value as it was minted during World War II, a time of significant change in the US and around the world. 1942 was a crucial year in American history. The US had just entered World War II and the country was mobilizing rapidly. Precious metals like copper were soon needed for wartime production. In fact, just a year after this coin was minted, the US Mint began producing steel pennies to conserve copper for the war effort. So this 1942 copper penny represents one of the last pennies produced with full copper before the switch to steel. Having a 1942 Lincoln penny is like holding a piece of wartime history. Coins from this era were not only functional but also a reminder of the sacrifices and changes taking place. Soldiers were overseas, rationing was common, and the country was united in the war effort. The design of this penny is much like the 1956 penny, with Lincoln's bust on the front and the 2 wheat ears on the reverse. However, this penny bears a D mint mark under the date, which indicates it was minted in Denver. Denver minted coins often have smaller mintages compared to those from Philadelphia, making them more interesting to collectors. The fine condition means that while it has seen some circulation, the details of Lincoln's face and the wheat stalks are still visible. A penny in this condition with a clear D-mint mark is a desirable item for collectors who specialize in wartime coins. A 1942 Lincoln penny with a D-mint mark in fine condition generally holds a market value of around $89,000. However, the historical significance of being a WWII-era coin can sometimes make it more valuable to the right buyer, potentially fetching prices up to $100,000 at auction. Some collectors may be willing to pay a bit more for Denver minted coins, especially if they're completing a wartime set. This coin appeals to collectors who focus on WWII-era coins. For them, the 1942 penny represents the last of the copper pennies before the transition to steel in 1943. It's a coin that tells a story of resilience, and its D-mint mark adds a little extra appeal. While not necessarily a rare coin, its historical significance makes it a valued piece in the Lincoln Wheat series. Next up coin takes us even further back in history to 1920, a time when America was experiencing the after-effects of World War I. This Lincoln Wheat penny from 1920 was minted without a mint mark, meaning it was produced in Philadelphia. 1920 was an interesting period in U.S. history. The country was transitioning into the Roaring Twenties, a decade marked by economic prosperity and cultural shifts. It was also a time when coin collecting began to grow in popularity. This 1920 penny is a relic from a transformative era, embodying a time of rapid change in American society. As with the other Lincoln Wheat pennies, this coin has Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and wheat ears on the reverse. The lack of a mint mark indicates that it was minted in Philadelphia, which typically produced higher numbers of pennies than the Denver and San Francisco mints. Being in fine condition, the coin has seen some wear but still retains key details. The year 1920 is clear, and the wheat ears on the reverse are still well defined, making it a great piece for collectors who appreciate coins from the early 20th century. In today's market, a 1920 Lincoln penny in fine condition usually goes for around $200,900. While it's not particularly rare, its age and the fact that it has survived in relatively good condition make it a valuable addition to many collections. Collectors are often drawn to coins from the 1920s because they represent the beginning of modern America. This 1920 penny, with no mint mark, appeals to those interested in pre-Depression era coins. It's a coin that speaks of durability and resilience, having survived over a century in circulation. Finally, we have a 1958 Lincoln Wheat penny. This was one of the last years that the wheat penny design was used before the introduction of the memorial reverse in 1959, making it particularly interesting to collectors. 1958 marked the end of an era for the Lincoln Wheat penny. Introduced in 1909, the wheat reverse was phased out in favor of the Lincoln memorial design. So, this penny represents the final chapter of the wheat penny's history, making it a sought-after year for collectors who value series completions. This penny has a large date and no mint mark, indicating Philadelphia production. The obverse features Lincoln, as always, and the reverse has the classic wheat ears. Being in circulated condition, this coin has signs of wear but still holds its shape and design. For a 1958 Lincoln Wheat penny in circulated condition with no mint mark, the typical market value ranges from about $39,738. However, because 1958 was the final year of the Lincoln Wheat penny design, there's a bit more collector interest in pennies from this year, especially for those looking to complete a wheat penny collection. If it's in particularly good condition, despite being circulated, it might reach up to $46,000 in a favorable auction setting. This 1958 Lincoln Wheat penny is a favorite among collectors who focus on the complete Lincoln Wheat series. Since it was the last year of the wheat design, collectors often want this year's coin to mark the end of the series. It holds a bit of nostalgia as well, symbolizing the end of an era in US coinage. Although it's not particularly rare, it has sentimental and historical value that resonates with many collectors, making it a solid, affordable piece for anyone starting out in the world of coin collecting. Lincoln Wheat pennies are some of the most widely collected coins, and whether you're a seasoned collector or a newcomer, each penny tells a story about the time it was minted, the people who used it, and the events it silently witnessed. If you have any of these pennies, especially in good condition, take a closer look. You might just have a little piece of history in your hands. Thanks for joining us on Valuable Coins. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest videos on rare and valuable coins. Who knows what you might find next? Until then, happy collecting.